Hey y'all, welcome in. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Sophia Lynette, and I am better known here on YouTube as the Global Nurse Expat. On this channel, we talk about all things global travel, expat life, and digital nomading. If you are gung-ho on these topics and you're interested, please subscribe to this channel and like and share these videos and hit that notification button so that when future content is uploaded, you will be the first to know about it. Okay? So I have a question for y'all, YouTube here. Have you ever come home from vacation, flat broke, looking at your bank account like who done it and why? I know I can't be the only one. It's happened to me on more than one occasion. I am not proud to reveal. Okay? But I'm here to tell you that there are ways that you can travel the world on a shoestring budget. Okay? Um, so I'm gonna just go through a list with you. So, give y'all some ideas on how to tighten that budget and travel on the cheap. You should not deprive yourself. You've worked hard, but you should not have to come home feeling an overriding sense of dread because you've overspent on vacation. Okay, so here we go. The first thing that I would suggest or I would say would be to plan your budget and stick to it. Okay, whether it is $1,000 or $10,000, stand firm on that budget. Okay, and when you come up with that budget and you decide that you are going to go on vacation, I would say a good idea would be to start putting some money away little by little. Okay, whether it be setting up direct deposit through your job, and setting up like a vacation fund or a vacation account and having, let's say, $25 a week um, go into that account, or per pay period, I should say, go into that account. And you're looking at your vacation a year from now, you've saved a pretty good penny over the last year that you probably didn't feel much either because it was being directly deducted from your paycheck going into a separate account for your vacation needs. And I wouldn't even look in that account. Like if you can, just take it off of your mobile app so you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. So it just goes in and make sure that you don't touch it, and it will accumulate fast. And if you put it into the right account, right amount, right type of account, it could even accumulate interest. Okay, so um, that's one tactic that you can use when setting your budget and putting your money away for the vacation. And even if you don't do the direct deposit thing or set up a separate account, hey, just put it under your mattress or in your dresser drawer jewelry box. And, try to, accumulate enough money to take the edge off of that final blow when you get to your destination. All right, so that's number one. Number two is choosing your destination. Okay, if you know you have a shoestring budget to begin with, it may not be the greatest ideas to pick the most expensive destination out there. I mean, now there are ways to travel any destination on a shoestring budget, but sometimes it could be a bit more challenging if you say, okay, I'm going to go to the Maldives, but I only want to spend $2,000. Then you're going to have to come up with some creative ways to navigate that kind of a trip and those kind of financial restraints. Okay, so when picking your destination, it's good to keep in mind high season versus low season. Okay, high season usually happens for most places in the warmer months. Depending on the location, it usually happens around like summer break for when the kids are out of school, or summer vacation, and the summer months in general are usually the high months. Um, and it's usually based on, like I said, holidays, vacations for the kids, whether it be spring break, summer vacation, uh, winter recess is another big one, or major holidays are usually considered high season. All right. And usually, if there is a special event going on at a location, like let's say the World Cup, uh, you're going to Mexico, but the World Cup is playing in Mexico during that time, then that would also more than likely mean that that would be high season rates in effect. And that usually goes for the airlines, the hotels, the resorts, the excursions, everything. So you want to keep that in mind. And then on the opposite end of that would be low season. And that is the more than likely months that there will be less foot traffic or vacationers in that area. And it usually coincides with the weather. Okay, it usually means that the weather is cold, or there's rainy season going on, or it might be hurricane season, or there's no holidays involved in that calendar block. All of those are considered low season periods. Um, Now there are some destinations where high season is when the weather is on the cooler side, like in Dubai. It's considered high season when the temperatures are milder, because visitors seem to like it better when the temperatures are milder. I mean, it gets to be 115, 120 degrees Fahrenheit during peak heat. So, people like to avoid going there when it's that hot, and they tend to go. Their high season in Dubai is like from November to March. Okay, and the prices are extremely high during those times. So for that example, the hotter it is in that kind of destination, generally the cheaper the prices. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that, you should endure extreme heat so that you can travel on a budget, but it's just something to be mindful of. Okay. Um, when you choose your destination, okay, which is point number two, when you're choosing your destination, look into bundle deals. Look to see if you can uh, bundle your hotel, your airfare, and if you're renting a car into one deal. And usually you can save a significant amount of money doing that. Okay. So that's something to consider as well, is bundle deals. I mean, if you are a seasoned traveler and you have experience in booking all of your accommodations a la carte, then hey, have at it. You might know some tips and tricks to save yourself some money. But most people that travel, they usually try to either get a travel agent or get with somebody that knows the ins and outs of booking a vacation. And so they don't do the bundle deal thing, but it's something to look into. Okay. Number three, research and book your flight. Now, generally speaking, January and February are the cheapest domestic travel months here in the United States. Now, that does not say that that is the case across the board with other countries and destinations. But if you are staying within the United States, or if you're traveling to the United States, you might want to look at, if you know your dates ahead of time, um, booking in January or February. All right, if you can. And then back in the days, there was this thing going on, or there was this, I guess, technique that travelers used to book cheaper flights or to find cheaper flights. And that was trying to book a flight on Tuesdays at midnight. They used to say that was the best time to look for a flight and book it. But from what Expedia says, Expedia.com, that is no longer the case. Okay. They say Sunday is generally the best day to book a flight. Um, I have not much to compare that to because I haven't really booked a flight on a Sunday in a while, but I do have an upcoming trip that I want to take. So I might sit down on Sunday and see what the prices look like. I guess I'll look tonight and then I'll look on Sunday and see if they dip. I don't know. But there are people that use that Hopper app too. That is a app that you put your flight itinerary information and dates into, and it will track the flight costs for you for those dates and alert you if flights start to dip or if they start to go up. So that might be another thing, that would be worthwhile using. To get the best price you can for your flight and your hotel accommodations. Okay. Now, my tip is this: when you travel, when you are booking your airline, if you have a particular airline that you generally like to fly with, you have points with, you have Sky Miles with, or you have any kind of membership with, try at all costs to use that airline or their partners and affiliates. And I'll tell you why. Like, for instance, for my domestic travel, I swear by Delta Airlines. Okay. And they are Sky partners with KLM, which is a Dutch airline, and Air France, along with a few others. But I'm just giving you these three uh, that are just fresh in my mind right now. And so, because I'm a Delta Sky Miles and Points member, anytime I fly KLM or Air France, I could still accumulate Sky Miles. If I want to use my Sky Miles towards a flight, I can do that. And I still get to use the perks of my Sky Priority boarding on the other airlines as well. Okay. The only thing you have to do is, if you are booking with KLM or Air France and you're a Delta Sky Miles customer, you need to let them know, and you need to give them your Sky Miles number so that they can link the itineraries and you get credit for your travel, your in points. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind. I am not a big proponent of jumping from airline to airline because I travel so much. I like to accumulate the points. Now, do I have favorite airlines that I like to fly abroad with? Absolutely. I love Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad when I fly to the Middle East and to Asia. But I don't have any of their sky points, for lack of a better word. So I just, those will be like on special occasions, or if I want to, fly the luxury first class, then I will definitely do Emirates for one. Um, I'm not a big fan of KLM's first class. It's like nothing in comparison to Emirates, but that's neither here nor there. If you are looking to travel on a budget, then it doesn't matter. You're not going to be, and you're more than likely not going to be flying first or business class if you're trying to maintain your budget. So when that happens, just go with what you know. Who you have membership points with, go with their partners. Okay. Number four, avoid at all costs. Avoid booking airline tickets and even hotels if you can get around it. Avoid booking with third parties. Okay? And I say that to say this. Yes, you might end up finding a cheaper ticket through a third party, but 9 times out of 10, it's not the best situation for layovers. You know, you're in and you're at higher risk for missing connecting flights because sometimes they have you flying on multiple carriers, you know, and then sometimes you get to your destination, you done missed your plane, your connecting flight, or something done happened where you're now stranded. And it's very hard to get accommodated when you, through any airline that you're flying, if you've booked through a third party, you know, and then you call the third party company and they can't help you either, you know, so you're stranded and you might be stranded in a foreign country and you done messed up your whole itinerary because you wanted to save $17, you know, on, you know, with booking with a third party, you know, and then oftentimes you don't get the perks of having additional checked bags when you book with a third party. So you have to be very careful. I highly, highly, highly recommend you not booking through a third party, and that includes entities like Expedia. Uh, uh, what's the name of the other one? Oh, I can't think of them. But basically, if you're not booking through the airline directly, that's a third party. Okay. Um, yeah. So you want to avoid it. Whenever you are in doubt, get on the phone, close the app that you're trying to book the ticket through, get on the phone and call the airline directly if you have questions, concerns, and where you need answers. Okay, because the third party travel ticket companies are not the move, especially when you're going abroad and you have a tight itinerary and you are trying not to spend extra money. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that. Um, Travel insurance. Okay, so travel insurance is a very important aspect of any kind of travel, global travel or domestic travel. And my saying is if you cannot afford the travel insurance, then you can't afford to travel. Okay. And I'm not including the trip insurance or the ticket insurance that they offer you when you're booking your flight, because that only really covers the flight. It doesn't cover anything else. It covers your flight and I think your luggage. Okay. But travel insurance is something that you would rather have and not need than need and not have. It covers any kind of trip interruption, any kind of natural disasters, any kind of sickness that you might face if you're traveling abroad or domestically. If you get so ill where you need to be airlifted out of there, it covers that. It covers medication. It covers surgery. It covers you name it. It covers it. Medical equipment. Um, if you need to have somebody from the States or from wherever your home country is travel to you, 9 times out of 10, it covers that as well. Okay, so it's very important that you have travel insurance. Case in point, when I was in Ghana in March, I broke my foot on an excursion. We were in We were in one of the rainforests there on a canopy, and everything was all good. I did all the canopies, walked across all of the canopies with no problems, but it was coming back down the hill that I misstepped and kind of lost balance and broke my foot. I broke 2 bones in my foot. So I had to end up coming back to the States a couple of days early because I was in so much discomfort. And, I was worried about how I was going to get around in the airport and to my, to my, to the flight gate and all of that. So anyway, I ended up coming back from Ghana 2 days early. So I had to change my flight information, and then I had to, come all the way back home or whatever. And then I had to miss several days from work so that I can get my foot together. So not only did the insurance company pay for my flight to get changed, because of course that's a fee to change your flight. They paid for trip interruption because I had to end my trip 2 days early. They reimbursed me for the amount of money that, was basically deducted from my time in Ghana. They basically paid me for interrupting my trip, and then they paid me for having to stay home from work for a couple of days after I got home to look after my foot. It could have been much worse. It could have been a major illness, or it could have been a major accident, or anything could have happened, right? But the point is, I was taken care of. I use a company called Allianz, okay? And, they offer yearly policies. So it basically covers covers all of your travel for the entire year. And I think the policy was something like 200 and something dollars for the year, or maybe 300. Of course, they only cover you up to, I think, a trip that costs $10,000. Anything more than $10,000, they don't cover you. But, you can buy additional policies if you have more than a $10,000 trip at one time. You could buy a policy with another carrier, and then you'll be doubly covered. Okay. But my trip wasn't $10,000. So I was covered. I was good. And they went on and they took care of me. Oh, back to the app. So Alliance has an app that you can download on your phone. And guess what, guys? If you're in one of those conundrums where, you have to tap into your travel insurance, they can direct the funds directly. They could deposit the funds directly into your linked bank account. So you're not stranded someplace. Like, let's say you lose your wallet or your passport or something and you're stranded. They got you. The insurance company got you. So that is why I say I'm a big proponent for travel insurance, because anything can happen. Okay, now there are other insurance companies out there that are similar to Alliance. They have, like, another one is Aflac, and then they have Nomad Health, I believe it's called, Nomad Insurance. And they have, I think, like State Farm and Allstate and, things of that nature. I think Prudential is another one. They have many. So I would say do your due diligence before you go on any kind of trip abroad and get yourself some travel insurance. Okay. Number 8. I know I'm skipping around and I didn't say all the numbers, but I'm sure you're following me. Number 8, secure your accommodations. Okay. I'm sure you're aware that Airbnb is global for the most part. There are some countries that have banned Airbnb. So make sure that when you pick a destination, when you select your destination, that Airbnb, you have your heart set on staying in an Airbnb. make sure that they actually have Airbnb or allow Airbnbs at that destination, and price them, see how much they cost, and go from there. If your birthday is coming up, or you're planning this trip as a birthday or as a girls trip, not a girls trip, but as a birthday or like a honeymoon or something like that, and you are having a gathering before you go on your vacation, hey, ask your guests for gift cards. They have Airbnb gift cards, so that can offset the price of your trip as well. Okay. Yeah, so do your homework. There are many countries where you can stay in an Airbnb for less than $40 a day. And there are some countries that you could spend $10,000 a day in an Airbnb. So, and there's anything, there's prices everywhere in between. Okay, so you want to do your homework on that. Hotels and resorts. You got to know what you want as far as your accommodations. A lot of hotels abroad, they range from $12 a day all the way up. So it depends on what you want, what kind of amenities you're looking for. I'm sure if you're looking to travel on a budget, you got to know that you have to kind of be very choosy with your amenities, because you might not get it all for the price you want to spend. Okay. Um, and then you want to take into consideration hotels versus resorts, resorts versus all inclusives. All inclusives, they range. They have the moderately priced all inclusive to the 5-star all inclusive resorts. So you want to do your due diligence in selecting uh, those type of accommodations if that's what you want. I know the Rio resorts, especially the ones in Mexico, are pretty reasonable. They're not my favorite all-inclusive resorts, but they do get the job done on a budget. So if all-inclusive is something that you're going after because you want all your meals and your alcohol included, and some of the amenities that they offer might be included as well, then that's a good option too. Um, I can take or leave an all inclusive, really. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a drinker at all, really. So it kind of is a waste of money for me, because I know the biggest price markup in a all inclusive is generally the alcohol. So if you're not a big drinker, and even if you're not a big eater, it might not be something that you might find worthy of your dollar. So you might need, something. There might be a better option out there for you. Okay. Hostels. I know when people think of hostels, they probably think of that horror movie from the early 2000s. But yeah, hostels are really still a thing. Okay, I remember when I was in college and I went to Japan with a good girlfriend of mine from college. We went to her brother's wedding. We were going for her brother's wedding in one of the little towns that was like 4 hours out of Hong Kong, outside of Hong Kong. But we wanted to stay in Hong Kong for a couple of days just to say we were there and to kind of see what the city was going to give, right? So we stayed at a hostel, and it was all good. Good experience for a 19-year-old, I mean, it wasn't that far-fetched because, hey, I was already living in a dorm at college, so why not live in a dorm abroad, right? Um, and that part didn't bother me. The part that kind of bothered me or got me a little unnerved was that the hostel was right next door to a fire department, a firehouse. So we were trying to sleep, and every 15 minutes or so, the fire siren would go off, and the fire trucks would race out, and it kept us up all night. All right. So that might not be a good option for somebody that's looking for rest and relaxation. The fact that hostels generally are designed for people in transit, and they usually have like a dormitory style setup where you might have 4, 6, 8, 10 people in the room with you on bunk beds, people just strangers that you'd never met before. And you might share a bathroom, where they might have a couple of bathrooms, on the hall for everybody to share. And, that kind of lifestyle might not be great for the average traveler. But for the ones that have that nomad spirit, it might be right up your alley. Hostels can run anywhere from $12, $13 a night to, a little bit more. And then they have different kinds of hostels too. They have, regular hostels. They have party hostels where they have party nights, they have theme nights, they have that kind of thing for people that are very extroverted and social. Those type of people thrive in that environment. A lot of introverts don't like hostels because it forces you in an uncomfortable situation with people that you don't know. So, something to take into consideration. But it's a good option for people that are really, really, really wanting to stick to their budget and still see the world. A lot of college students backpack through Europe or different countries, and they stay in hostels. They're in a different city every couple of nights, and they stay in hostels, and it helps them stay on budget. Okay, so that is another option for housing, okay, and accommodations. And my most recent favorite housing option is house sitting. Now, I did a whole video, and it was geared toward travel nurses, about staying in, signing up to be a house sitter because you get free accommodations. And I think it's a great option because literally you can travel the world. You can pick up a travel house sitting gig. You can pick up a house sitting gig and literally travel to your destination and stay there for free of charge. And, you might be pet sitting, or you might not be pet sitting. If they don't have a pet, you might just literally be looking after their house. Okay, so for me, it's a great option. I use a house sitting platform called Trusted House Sitters. Okay, and it is a platform where you can sign up. It's an annual fee, and it's a nominal fee. They have different tiers, but they have plans for people that only want to be house sitters and they want to pick up house sitting gigs. And they have plans for people that they're looking for house sitters. They're not planning on being a house sitter, but they're looking for house sitters. So that they have that plan. That's an annual plan. Okay. And then they have combination plans where you can sit for somebody's house or you can have your house sat for. Okay. And it's a few dollars more for the year. And which is fine. It's well worth it to me because this is what happens. Like for me, let's say, okay, I have my house here in Houston, and I have my plants that need to be watered, and I have my 2 dogs that need to be taken care of. Okay. So for my membership, okay, I pay the annual fee, and you could use the service limitless, unlimited. You have unlimited listings that you can post to have somebody come in and take care of your house and your pets and your plants and whatever it is you ask them to do in your profile while you're on vacation. Okay, and your annual fee that you pay covers everything. You don't come out of your pocket to pay for that sitter. Okay. And then on the flip side of that, let's say, okay, I have a sitter here. I get to travel. Well, they have destinations all over the world. It's international. So if I know, let's say I'm going to the south of France, I want to go to the south of France. I look up people that need their house sat for in the south of France during my dates. And lo and behold, I find one. So I send my profile over and I put in my bid for that gig to sit for their house. They pick me. I get to go. I get to stay in their house for free. I watch their dog. I water their plants. I feed their fish, and I'm kicking back and I'm staying in their house for free. So free accommodations. Okay. And I'm not paying anything on my end to have my dogs boarded or taken care of or somebody coming in to water my plants. So it's the best of both worlds. Okay, for me anyway. Some people don't want a house sit. Some people don't want people in their house. So that might not be an option for you if that's the case, but it's an option. So I had to share it. Okay, number 9. Oh, and back to number 8, the house sitting. I will leave links and website for trusted house sitters and a referral code if you guys are interested in learning more about house sitting and about trusted house sitters, and you decide you want to sign up. Please use my referral code. It gives me another 2 months on my membership. Okay, please and thank you. Number 9, transportation once you get to your destination. Okay, so things that you want to take into consideration: rental cars. Okay, and then if you do a rental car and let's say you book through a third party like Expedia, make sure if there's an 800 number on that rental car, or if there's a local number or a number that you can actually call and reach somebody, make sure you call to confirm your car rental, okay, and the requirements for the car rental. And if you can, before you leave, if you're a AAA member, get an international driver's permit. That'll save you on a lot of headaches with getting pulled over and getting citations at your destination if you're going to rent a car. Okay, if you need more information about that, say so in the comments, and I'll put some information on this video for you in the details. Okay, on international driver's permit. Okay, let's see. Oh, let me also note that there are certain countries that car rental is very expensive, like Costa Rica. The car rental is very expensive, and the insurance is even more expensive. And it might not be the safest place to rent a car in Costa Rica if you've never been there, because certain parts of the year, certain times of the year rather, it's the rainy season, and you can get caught in a monsoon or a mudslide in the middle of nowhere, and it can be dangerous. So, just keep in mind that not every country warrants a car rental. You might be better off taking the local public transportation or an Uber or hiring a driver. Okay? So, just wanted to say that. Ride shares, Uber and Lyft are generally international. Okay, so that might be the best option when traveling abroad, especially on a budget, because it's just more cost efficient to take public transportation when you're on a budget, because you have less to worry about. You really do. You have less to worry about, and you can budget accordingly. Okay. And like I said, if you are having a gathering because you're going on vacation for your birthday or for a honeymoon, let's say, ask your guests for Uber or Lyft gift cards to go along with those Airbnb gift cards, because it all adds up, and it can definitely put a large dent in, a large cushion in your budget if you have these extra funds to use toward, things, some of your essential things there. Okay. All right. Number 10, book your excursions in advance. I think that is probably one of the most important things to do when you're traveling, trying to travel on a budget. That, and get your itinerary together. Write down what you want to do and organize it and plan it out day by day and stick to it. When we went to Dubai, my daughter had made an entire itinerary, and it was like a no-brainer. You get up, you already know from the night before, or from before you even leave home, what the things that you're going to be doing. But literally, you just had to, plan your wardrobe day by day based on the itinerary, which impacts your packing, and it impacts your sleep, as far as not having to worry about, well, what am I going to do tomorrow, when I'm at my destination, thinking about wonder what I can get into. No, it's already written down, it's already paid for, we've already covered that. Only thing we have to do is show up. So yeah, I like the idea of planning the itinerary before you even go on your destination. So that way, you have more control over your budget. Generally speaking, the excursion details are right there in front of you, so you can kind of pick and choose what fits into your budget, or whether or not you have to come up with some more money for your budget. I liked Get Your Guide Tours. They have an app that I really, really love. It gives you full details of the excursions that are offered in each city, in each country, right? And then it gives you the opportunity to, you have to put in your financial information, of course, but it gives you the opportunity to book your excursions, and then pay later. A book now, pay later option gives you the flexibility to book your itinerary. And I think we booked all of our tours and excursions through them. But anyway, it gives you the opportunity to book your excursions, and then you don't have to pay for the excursions until 3 days prior to the excursion, which I love. They don't take any money out of your account. It's automatically set up to come out 3 days prior to your excursion. So you have 101 days really to change your mind or to tweak your itinerary if you need it, or cancel or do something else in general, so you're not locked in, but you got to make sure you cancel within that time frame of 3 days, or else they will hold you liable for paying for the excursion. All right, so it's Get Your Guide Tours, and I will put that in the video details as well. Okay, by the way, I don't have any affiliations or any kind of deals with any of these vendors that I'm mentioning in this video. This is just for my little arsenal of travel tools and stuff that I use. So I just wanted to pass on the information. Okay, I have no endorsement deals and no interest. All right. Um, Airbnb experiences is another good option for booking excursions. I like them because it gives a more local feel. It's generally locals in whatever community or whatever city or state or country that you're in. It's usually the local people that are pretty much doing these excursions as a side hustle. So, as much as possible, I like to book through Airbnb experiences. The only thing about that, though, is When you see the experience and when you book it, you have to pay for it then and there when you book it. So that's the only drawback. So if I'm going traveling to a destination and I have a very loose itinerary where, I have a lot of downtime or I didn't book anything for every day, and I see a Airbnb excursion experience available and it's something to my liking, I'll go ahead and book it then and there while I'm there. That's kind of like the last resort excursions, but they have a lot of good excursions. So, check them out as well. They're on the Airbnb app, but they're under experiences. Okay. Um Booking excursions through the cruise ship or arranging versus arranging locally. Um Friends that have ever cruised with me know that I don't like really booking through the cruise ship because they're more expensive, and sometimes they fill up and they're to capacity anyway, so you don't even have a chance to book through them. So I've on many occasions gotten off of the cruise ship and gone down the pier and just picked up a local tour guide. It's cheaper and you kind of get a better bang for your buck. It's more of a local feel. The only flip side of that is um you have to be responsible for getting back to your cruise ship in a timely fashion because the local people, though they are or they might be aware that you're on a cruise ship and whatever your times that you need to be back and all of that is, um they are not responsible like if you booked through the cruise and you went through the cruise host. They have their own people and they're responsible for getting you back to the cruise on time. So that's the only downside of booking excursions locally versus on a cruise ship if you're traveling on a cruise ship for your travel destination. Okay. Okay, so currency exchange. Before you travel, 2 or 3 weeks before you are leaving to go on your trip, it would be a good idea and probably the most cost effective idea or arrangement to order the foreign currency that you are going to need on your trip. Order it through your bank. Order it from your bank and they need a couple of weeks to do this for you, but you can go back. They'll either call you or email you or maybe even put it on your app depending on what bank you use, or give you a time frame as to when you can come pick up your currency. All right, so that might be the easiest way to do it. If you are going to uh, any African country or any country in the Middle East or any country um, in Asia, and you want to bring money with you to exchange locally, that's a good idea too. If you have a trusted person there that you can find out which kiosk, for lack of a better word, gives the best exchange rate, they would be able to tell you. If you join travel groups on Facebook, you might be able to find that information out. The biggest tip, though, would be to bring fresh $100 new bills with you, new fresh $100 bills with you to exchange locally. Because I know in Africa, in Ghana in particular, um, the new bills have the most value. I don't know why. I don't understand why, but if you go with a stack of new bills, you get the biggest exchange, the highest exchange rate for the currency. Okay? So if you want to do that, that's a good way. The least cost effective way would be to exchange the money at the airport. That should be your last resort. If you could plan ahead and get your money from your bank, that's the best way to go. but the Travelex at the airport, they give the worst rates. So just something to keep in mind. For those using credit cards or mainly credit cards, just know that Discover Card does not work outside of the United States. Don't know why. The Discover Card does not work. And your goal in using your credit card overseas is finding the card that does not charge you international fees, because they add up, and they add up quick. So you need to find out before you go abroad, figure out which card you can use that doesn't charge international fees, and stick to that card. Okay, if you're taking a debit card with you and you're relying on debit cards only, make sure before you leave the States that you let your bank know that you'll be traveling so you don't get shut down. Because they will shut your, Bank of America will shut your account down. Chase will more than likely shut your account down. You have to let them know that you are moving about the country, and that, expect the charges to come up, because it's really you. And then, they may or may not shut your card down. But if you don't tell them that you're going, they're going to shut your card down, more than likely. And then you're going to be stuck or stranded. So, until you get it straightened out. So just let them know before you leave. All right. The next item, and I have it listed as number 13, but I'm sure we're out of order, or I didn't enumerate the previous ones. Okay, number 13, pack light. Okay, if you are traveling on a budget, you do not want to waste money on overweight luggage fees. Okay, it's a bummer. So what you want to do is find out from your airline how many checked bags they allow. And it's usually when you have a checked bag that you can't have more than 50 pounds in that bag, right? So you just want to make sure that you stay within that 50 pounds. And if you're a big souvenir buyer, make sure you leave room in that bag so that you can bring souvenirs back. Me personally, I'm over the souvenirs thing. I spent so much money in Thailand on souvenirs that I had to buy an extra suitcase. I had to pay extra bag fees. I had to pay port fees, not port, but customs fees and everything else, that it wasn't even worth the amount of money that I spent versus the amount of money that I spent on the souvenirs. Like, I spent more getting the stuff back into the country than I did on the actual souvenirs. So if I decide I'm buying anybody anything, it's usually a magnet, something that I can just put in my bag and forget it. Because overweight fees for baggage and extra bag fees are a hassle, and I'd rather spend my money on something else. Okay, on something at the destination. Okay, bring a packable backpack with you. One of those little foldable backpacks. Bring one of those with you. Put it in your suitcase, because when you get to your destination, it comes in handy when you go on excursions. You could bring some snacks with you. You could bring your electronic chargers and your power banks and your water and your wallet and all of that stuff. It's just easier. And then if you do some shopping, you can put your souvenirs down in the backpack. So I suggest that. And then they also have these collapsible water bottles that you can fold. I recommend bringing those with you as well. One of those with you as well. It's good for the airport, as well. If you are like me, I don't always drink the water that they give me on the plane, because I'm usually asleep. So, I usually end up bringing bottles of water with me off the plane. Well, they come in handy once you get to your destination, When you go on your excursions, you can have that water to add to the water that you're usually going to buy there to take out with you in the collapsible bottle. All right, so you can pop around with it with you. It saves a lot of money versus constantly buying bottled water when you're out on your excursions. What else? Okay, on your way to the airport, before you leave and go, you're on your way to the airport, see if you can get somebody to drop you off at the airport. Versus, if you the last resort, I guess take a Uber or something. But one of the most expensive things about traveling that I do not like paying for is the garage fees at the airport. So if you can make friends with somebody and get them to take you to the airport, that's the most cost effective way to do it, and pick you up. Or either one, pick you up or take you, or one or the other if they can't do both. But if you could avoid the garage fees, avoid the garage fees. Okay, number 15. Pack a snack to bring with you to the airport or to have with you to snack on the flight. Yes, they will feed you on the flight. You might not like the food. I didn't particularly like the food on KLM, to be honest. I didn't like it that much. It wasn't my favorite airline food cuisine. But it was, it took the edge off. I generally just sleep on international flights mostly, so it doesn't matter anyway. But believe it or not, you can take food with you on the airplane. It can get through security and through TSA. You can't bring drinks with you, but you could bring food, snacks, and snack items and things of that nature. The reason why I say it's a good idea is because, number one, you're less inclined to spend $30 or $40 on a hamburger in the airport just because you got there 2 or 3 hours early to get through TSA and everything, and now you're hungry. So bring a snack with you. And then number two, it's always good to keep a snack with you because during layovers is another time where you can easily spend $30 or $40 just waiting on your next flight. You want to get a meal because if you're like me, you slept through the meal service, so you get a little snack or two to throw in your carry-on or in your personal items or in your pocketbook. It could save you a couple of dollars. And then when you get to your destination, right? When you get to your destination, whether it be you're staying at an Airbnb or you're staying at a hotel or you're staying at a resort or whatever, right? Still see if you can get to a place where you can pick up some snacks and some things that you want to eat, because when you go on those excursions, unless you're in an all-inclusive where you can grab and go and bring stuff with you, when you want to go on your excursions, you'll have some snacks to bring with you as well, because some excursions feed you something light, some excursions don't. It's usually an extra cost. So, it's just another way to kind of cut back on your spending when you're abroad. Okay? Plan your meals on your vacation. Believe it or not, unless you're at an all-inclusive, okay, or if you're at a hotel or a resort where you get breakfast included, it's a blessing because that's one less meal that you have to worry about. Okay? And then plan your other food outings. It should be on that itinerary that you made before you came with your excursions. Maybe one day you want to have a 5-star restaurant experience. Put it on the itinerary and stick to it. Maybe one day you want to indulge in some street foods, which are usually inexpensive. Put it on your itinerary. Maybe one day you want to have a dinner show. Put it all on your itinerary and then plan for the other meals that you haven't put on your itinerary. So that could include going to the local grocery store and picking up stuff and having them with you in either your wherever your dwelling is. Okay, Airbnb, a hostel, or whatever. Just make sure you have, you can pick up some food to accommodate your hunger when you're not out and about. Okay, I encourage uh, if you're at an Airbnb, cooking some meals, cooking enough for leftovers. Okay, that's another way to stretch your budget, making sure you have breakfast food at the Airbnb or and lunch. It really cuts down on your budget. And if you are in a place where you haven't rented a car and the supermarket isn't local enough, see if they have things like an Instacart setup or a local food delivery setup that they could bring the food to you. Worst case scenario, you can, and if they have Amazon in that country and they have quick delivery, order it off of Amazon. Okay. Keep in mind though, when you're in another country, when you're traveling abroad outside of the United States, that food perishables go bad really quick because they don't use the preservatives and things like we use here. So you can find yourself going to the store more frequently, every other day, maybe. Like we had some bagels in Dubai that went bad in like 2 days, full blown molds, you know, because they don't use the additives. So, keep that in mind as well. But cooking for yourself and eating for yourself, making your own meals on vacation is a big budget saver. Now you're saying to yourself, bitch, I ain't going on vacation to do all this work. I understand that. I totally understand that you are going for vacation and for leisure. Okay. And that's perfectly good. I can do a whole luxury vacation video at another time. For right now, though, I'm sticking to those who are interested in traveling on a shoestring budget. Okay. So, definitely that is something that we can save for another video is the luxury travel. But the good thing about traveling on a shoestring budget is you can actually do a hybrid trip where you could spend a couple of days on the down low, at like a hostel or an Airbnb or a very inexpensive uh, hotel, and then the other half of your trip, live it up. Spend that money on a 5-star resort. Or do some house sitting the first week or so, a couple of days of your vacation, and bank all that money, and then bam, there you go. You have that money for that luxury hotel. So you could still do a little of both. But the key is don't come home broke because it's a real bad feeling. Trust me, I've been there. And, I don't wish it on my own worst enemy. So these are my tips that I'm trying to share with you on this sensitive topic. All right, so I think I've talked about all things shoestring budget when it comes to global travel. Oh, no, I didn't. One more thing, because I'm looking over at my cell phone. Cell phone providers, make sure that before you go abroad that you know what kind of cellular and data plan you have. Okay, find out from your cellular mobile company if you have coverage in that particular area, if you need to buy a travel plan to accommodate you while you're overseas, or, if they even have coverage over there. And if they don't, what's the likeliness of maybe getting a SIM card while you're in that country? They do have a lot of SIM card availability in most countries. You just got to make sure you bring that little key thing with you. If you have an iPhone, I don't know what kind of device or what kind of tool is necessary if you have an Android, but I know the iPhone has that little key looking skinny thing that you pry the thing open with and put the SIM card in. So that might be an option as well. You know, it might not be something that you can explore until you get to your destination, but it's an option. And if all else fails, you can always create a WhatsApp account for an emergency and have your loved ones back in the States contact you on WhatsApp. I like WhatsApp because when I go someplace, I usually go someplace where I know other people that are local and they use WhatsApp anyway. So it always works out good for me. All right. So that's about it. That's all I have to share for you tonight. So if you found this information useful, I am very pleased, and I would love and be very, very happy if you hit me back in the comments and let me know that some of these tips worked for you. Okay. And again, I'm going to post all those links that I promised you in the details of this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, like I said earlier, and hit that notifications button, okay? All right, it was a pleasure. Talk to you soon. Bye.